Elon Musk just did what? I don't know whether to consider this good or bad news. Let me read you the tweet that Elon Musk just liked, presumably agreeing with. From Chris Zhang on X. He says, I told you that Elon has re-entered wartime CEO mode. That's obviously great. You want a CEO in this wartime mentality to be as profitable as possible, to create the best products as possible. There's a great deal of good that comes out of stress in a company for the long term, of course. It goes on to say, this scene is familiar to the veterans of the Tesla community. Today, Elon decided to bet the entire company on Robotaxi. I don't know if all in Robotaxi is right or wrong. I don't have the answer. But presumably Elon Musk liking this tweet means he agrees with it. At least that's how I would take it, as he knows a lot of people pay attention to the tweets that he responds to and he likes, and kind of like sending a message just by liking a tweet. All I can say is April 23rd is going to be a crazy day. In fact, according to Dan Ives, this earnings could really be an event in which a lot of people go back into Tesla or a lot of people walk away from Tesla. Dan Ives writes on X, we need to hear the rationale for the cost cutting, the strategy going forward, product roadmap, and an overall vision from Musk next week on the call. Otherwise, many investors might head for the elevators during this Category 5 perfect storm of weak demand Tesla is seeing globally. Dan Ives, worth mentioning, did go on CNBC today, and he says that yesterday was another dark day for Tesla, but he does reiterate his $300 price target on the stock. Before we go ahead and get further into all of your Tesla stock breaking news and what's going on in the markets today, all of this information in which you need to know, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel because it's free 99 and costs you absolutely nothing to do so. Let me know your thoughts on today and all of this news as well down below in the comment section. But on that note, I will point out Tesla stock is trading down almost 3% today. Couple different things are going on, and I'll just give it to you up front. You did have a continuation effect from yesterday's bad news. 2 high-ranking executives leaving a company in a single day. I don't care what stock it is. It's not going to do well for the next couple of days. You also did get weekly insurance registration numbers that came out. For the week of April 8th through the 14th, you only had 6,000 insured registrations in China. That means for Q2, you're 25.7% negative versus Q1. And year to date, you're down almost 60% versus last year's total. So yeah, that doesn't look great either. Last year, during this same period, you had 12,500 registrations. So that's a pretty sharp drop. And last but not least, you have this parabolic move higher in long duration bonds. I mean, this is unprecedented. The rate in which you are seeing bonds going higher with no hikes from the Fed. There's really no reason for this besides maybe the government spending a lot of money, geopolitical tensions, who knows, right? But the fact of the matter is 10-year treasury yields are up almost 1% just in the first 4 months of 2024. To start 2024, the 10-year treasury yield was at about 3.86%. Today, you're at 4.68%. You went up about 13 basis points yesterday in the 10-year treasury yield, and now you're up almost 6 basis points today. That means that's almost the equivalent of a rate hike from the Fed. And this is adding a lot more restriction on the economy than I would even argue the Fed wants as of right now. And 10-year treasury yields, when they're making moves like this, well, that's not going to help Tesla. And just so you guys know, I am still a licensed real estate agent. I only do a couple transactions a year. I will be honest with you there. I'm not actively out there pursuing clients. But the way it works is lending really goes off of the 10-year treasury yield. Think about it like this. If you can get 4.68 or whatever the yield just was on the 10-year treasury, you can get that percent over the course of 10 years. you're not going to be able to get a car for anything close to that. You're not going to be able to get a house for anything close to that. Adjusting for risk, you are deemed a lot more risky than, the government. Okay, so usually it's like 3% added on, at least for homes. It's something similar, maybe a little bit more for cars because it's shorter duration. But for homes, it's add 3% on the 10-year treasury. So if the 10-year treasury falls, that's great. That's why when the 10-year treasury was like half of 1% during Rona times, mortgages were super cheap, right? Because when you add it up, it's still very low interest rates. So it puts a lot more pressure on lending products, and that's specifically negative for Tesla. And we did indeed just get a rug pull from Fed Jerome Powell. He's kind of changing his stance in a speech that he is giving over in what looks like Canada here, more of a question answer kind of format. He says, recent data shows lack of further progress on inflation. And this is how the markets reacted to that. In this one candle, markets sold off 1/3 of 1%. Who knows where we go by the end of the day? I think 10-year treasury yields are better priced for bad news from Powell, or a change of stance, if you will, because of how rapid they've risen recently. But still, that's never going to be a good thing when Powell starts coming out and changing his stance. For the last, couple of months, really the last like 8 or 9 months now, Powell has been pretty consistent with the whole inflation is falling kind of narrative, that this is only just a bump in the road, and he's pushing back a little bit on that today. Powell says 12-month core PCE inflation was little changed in March according to estimates. And then he does say if higher inflation persists, the Fed can maintain current rate as long as needed. We will be going over everything you need to know in regards to what Jerome Powell just said and what's going to be coming tomorrow. You do have your first high-flying AI stock, ASML, that reports earnings tomorrow morning. I'll give you the rundown of what to expect coming tomorrow in the video at 8 p.m. tonight. And here is a little bit of good news. North Carolina regulators have approved a state mining permit for Tesla supplier Piedmont Lithium to develop one of the largest U.S. sources of the battery metal. There is very few lithium mines in North America, and that's been one of the problems with trying to get the full tax credit is there's just not a lot of battery components in the US. Tesla's official X account posted this or reposted this video and says FSD Supervised continues to improve with every over-the-air software update. Latest version 12.3.4 is rolling out now. And this post that the official Tesla account reposted, it says zero disengagement drive tonight in the rain with FSD 12.3.3. It seems to be getting better and better every day. Also, the auto wipers are perfect now. Lars, he is the VP of Vehicle Engineering. He will continue to work at Tesla, and he responded to Baglino's resignation post and basically is thanking him for everything, sharing a few memories here. I don't want to read the whole thing, but I think at this point it's good news upon any confirmation that any executives are staying at Tesla. GM has released updated specs for its Sierra EV Denali Edition 1 truck, which starts deliveries in a couple of months. You have a range of 440 miles, $99,000 is the price tag, 350 kilowatt hour charging, 100 miles of range in 10 minutes, 0 to 60 in under 4.5 seconds, 4-wheel steering and a crab walk, 10,000 pound towing, and 9.2 kilowatt hour onboard AC charger. Maserati has introduced a $215,000 electric convertible with range of 278 miles, battery capacity of 92.5 kilowatt hours, 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds, 180 mile per hour top speed, 800 volt architecture, and deliveries that will start in 2025. So when they say 2025, probably like 2027. After 10 years, Boston Dynamics has announced it is retiring its hydraulic humanoid robot HD Atlas. They released a farewell video below. It's unclear what the company might do next. 37 new Model 3 Ludicrouses are spotted preparing for export in Shanghai. You can see the red brake calipers, new wheel design, and spoiler. Official unveil seems to be coming imminently. You will be getting some new updates for the Cybertruck, including a turning circle that is now improved by 1.6 feet. That is a 3.7% improvement. A new horn and lock sounds, cabin overheat protection, power sharing from vehicle to home, and colorizer. Ford has resumed sales of the 2024 F-150 Lightning pickup trucks after a quality issue halted shipments for more than 9 weeks. Gary Black writes on X about 20 minutes ago and says, given the cluster caused by Reuters' FUD on Tesla Robotaxi / compact timing, Elon can set the record straight on the next week's earnings call by saying, there's no change in our thinking on timing of Robotaxi / compact. Both will be built off the same platform. Robotaxi development is being prioritized for an end of 2025 start of production, and compact production will begin soon after or something similar. Wall Street will applaud as long as there's no delay in the timing of compact delivery launch, which is currently expected in 2026. And that's pretty much my outlook here. I want to be very clear on my opinion. My opinion is the same as what kind of Elon and the Tesla team set forth prior. The second half of 2025, you will start to see Model 2s being built. But I believe the first Model 2s will be for the Robotaxi network. I believe it's possible you could get some, Model 2s built in Texas for customers. But I think mass production of the Model 2 is obviously coming when Giga Mexico is done, and you really haven't even broke ground as far as actual construction there yet. So that's really like a 2027 project. But I think the markets would get over that, and I think the markets would still applaud Tesla if they did bring the compact Model 2, or Robotaxis, I should say, to market next year. Here on the day today on StockTwits, sentiment for Tesla is bearish at 30. 1 day ago, it was neutral at 45. Message volume, though, today is a lot higher at 62. Yesterday was normal at 50. Today, I should say, is categorized as high. And the participation ratio today is at 55, which that's kind of where it has been recently. Google Trends data for full self-driving, going back over the last 12 months, it hit 100, came down to 55, and partial data has us coming in at about 51. And really all I want to see is, again, where we kind of base out at. Do we base out in the 30s, in the 40s, in the 50s, instead of, 10 to 20 like we were previously? That would say there's more activity, there's more people interested in Tesla's full self-driving. The higher we base out at, especially once the free trial is officially over. Option activity here today in Tesla stock, believe it or not, is more positive than negative from big money. You have seen 884 orders, different trades, in the options market totaling $395.65 million with a positive order value of 56%. And it looks like shorts are having a field day today in Tesla stock. Cost to borrow fees sitting at about 10%, which suggests a lot of shorting currently taking place. You do have short interest of free float sitting at 3.89%, multi-year highs here, and the dollar amount that's currently sold short at $17.39 billion, and there's roughly 108 million shares that are currently sold short. So every $10 Tesla goes up or down, short sellers either make or lose over $1 billion. So let me be honest, if Tesla stock rallies after earnings on April 23rd, that rally could be quite aggressive to the upside. Vice versa to the downside as well. There's obviously an appetite to short Tesla stock if Elon or Tesla has another disaster earnings call like we've seen for 4 earnings calls in a row, where you really just walk away from the call with more questions than answers. Well, Tesla stock could fall huge because there's a lot of appetite for shorts to go out there and short Tesla stock. Now, here on the day today, it looks like you have seen about 682,000 shares being returned. Could be covered, could be shares that were previously out on loan that shorts are like, hey, I don't want to short Tesla in the 150s anymore. I'll go ahead and return those shares. Either way, shares are being returned today. Borrowed shares are sitting at about 425,000. So that means you actually have a net return of about 256,000 shares, meaning 256,000 shares were either just outright returned or covered on. I would argue today Tesla stock down over 3%. Well, probably a lot of shares being returned. Doesn't look like a lot of shorts are covering today. Google Trends data for the entire Tesla lineup shows the Cybertruck holding steady here at 53, the most searched about Tesla product in recent months. Really going back to start February, the Cybertruck has been the most popular searched vehicle for Tesla. And you're starting to see a lot more like social media memes and more people talking about the Cybertruck. So I'm expecting you'll start to see some kind of halo effect here within the next couple of months. But you are seeing a downturn in search trend activity for other Tesla models, like the Model Y, recently going from 31, now at 29. Not a big drop, but still a drop nonetheless. The Model 3 going from 25 down to 22, the Model S staying right at about 11, and the Model X staying right at about 9. The percent of stocks above their 50-day moving average in recent days has absolutely collapsed. Less than 31% of stocks out there on our markets are above their 50-day moving average. That's not great, okay? And it really hasn't been great since you started 2024. November, really the beginning of November through late December, that was a very aggressive rally. 15% of stocks were above their 50-day moving average to start that rally. You got all the way to 86% of stocks above their 50-day moving average. That was a very strong rally. But throughout 2024, you've been in the 50 or so percent range. Now you're back to almost less than 30. And today, 2% of stocks are breaking under their 50-day moving average. Overall, down about 6.31% here on this metric. Judging off of these Fed fund futures contracts over here on investing.com, markets are still pricing in the first Fed rate cut coming on September 18th, 2024. There's a 44.7% chance of a rate cut, a 33.7% chance of a continued pause through September, and actually a 1.1% chance of a rate hike by September. If we look at December's contract, you're only pricing in one rate cut for this year at 35.1% odds. There's a 15.1% chance of no rate cuts and 32.1% chance of 2 rate cuts by the end of this year. And a lot of this is being kind of correlated to the 10-year Treasury. As the 10-year Treasury yields are rising, markets are expecting less and less cuts from the Fed. And that has had a huge role to play as well in Tesla stock's performance in 2024. Now, a brief look at the technicals. We'll go into this a little bit more in depth at the video coming out at 8 p.m. tonight. We're going to talk about the broad markets, what the Fed said, again, what to expect for your trading day tomorrow. But look at this trend line. I mean, you hit a low of $153.75 earlier in the day today. And look what happened. You bounced right up above this trend line. Wow, technicals work so well on Tesla. It's like it's like a fool's game not to look at the technicals for Tesla. So if we hold support here at this trend line, which is roughly where we're sitting at right at about now, as long as you stay above about 156, things look good. If you close under 156 today, well, that's not going to be great. And maybe we could be due for a shorter term bounce. After all, you're under 160. There was a lot of support at 160. You did get a bit of a gap down yesterday, so that was obviously not great. But there's so much bad news baked into Tesla stock. Like, seriously, on a risk to reward basis, being short Tesla right now, being bearish on Tesla makes absolutely no sense to me. If indeed things get worse for the broad markets, which is certainly possible here, Tesla stock could soon find itself in the 140s. And I think that is a very opportunistic buying opportunity for those individuals like yourself watching this video with a multi-year time horizon. I think it's going to be very hard to lose money in Tesla stock in the 140s, in the 130s. Like, give me a break. Even now, I think it's going to be very difficult for Tesla to not make you money if you invest at these prices over time. Could that happen? Obviously, the Robotaxi could flop, the Model 2 could flop, people could revolt against Teslas. There could be asteroids heading towards Giga Shanghai and Giga Texas as we speak. What's the likelihood of those things? Probably pretty low, but I do think, again, in the short term, the markets are overvalued. Earnings expectations are way too high. Earnings are likely going to disappoint, even if they come in and meet expectations. You have geopolitical tensions. You have the Fed that's, doesn't look like it's going to be cutting rates too many times this year. Borderline, we're not even pricing in a rate cut anymore. We're only pricing in one, and it's pretty close to zero. Yeah, I could make an argument for why stocks are going to fall more from here, and that would be the sole reason to be bearish on Tesla right now. I think if you're bearish on Tesla based on, the company itself at this point, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But definitely Tesla stock could fall more from here if the markets do fall. And judging from my prior opinions, I think there's still quite a bit of room for broad markets to fall, which obviously would be bad for Tesla as well. The MACD is also curled down. You've broken under the blue signal line. That is also negative on a technical basis. The RSI is sitting at 35.31. So you are on the oversold side, but you're not technically oversold yet. Once you go under 30, you get technically oversold, and you're just not there yet. So that would, suggest there could be more downside in Tesla stock before you get to extreme levels of oversold. So let me know what you think about all of this information down below in the comment section. The one thing I will tell you with definitive certainty, April 23rd is a huge day for Tesla. One would say a make or break moment for Tesla stock. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Hit the like button as well as subscribe to the channel. If you guys would like to come trade with us live in real time, check out that link down below in the description of this video. We did make a hedge trade on the NASDAQ today. So far, so good, following Fed Jerome Powell's comments. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you at 8 p.m. tonight, but in the meantime, enjoy your day, and I will see you in the next one.